Om yo brahmana vidadhati purvam yo vai vedanscha prahinoti tasmai tamma devamatma buddhi prakasham mumukshurvai sharanamaham prapadye. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Brahmanibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kaltribhyo Vamsharishibhyo Mahabhyo Namo Gurubhya Sarvopaplavarayita Prajnanagana Pratyagartho Brahmaivahamsmi Brahmaivahamsmi. Vedantartha Vibhasakaya Gurave Shantaya Sannyasine Nanavadi Nagendra Santapavaye Yogindra Vandyaya Cha Mohatvanta Divakaraya Bhagavatpada Vidam Bibrate Tasmai Bhashakrite Namostu Satatam Purnaya Bodhatmane. We are on verse number 11. Let us chant the verse and look at its meaning. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Shri Bhagavan Vacha Ashocyanan Vashochastvam Ashocyanan Vashochastvam Prajnavadanshcha bhashase Prajnavadanshcha bhashase Gatasuna Gatasmushcha Gatasuna Gatasmushcha Nanushochanti Panditaha Nanushochanti Panditaha. Ashocyan Anvashochastvam. So when Bhagavan smiled, this smile had a meaning which was, and Sanjaya has used the word Prahasan Niva Bharata. So Bhagavan, as if the smile was a smile of mockery, as if mocking, as if teasing. Madhusudana Saraswati makes it very clear that mockery would be when there are these two elements involved. One is in making the person aware of the mistake that he has committed, and at the same time making the person feel ashamed about it. Then it can be called as a mockery. Something can be called as a mockery. Prahasa. But Sanjaya has used the word prahasa very wisely in its verbal form as a verb. Prahasan niva. As if smiling, as if mocking. And Madhusudan Saraswati says the reason behind Bhagavan Shri Krishna's smile is not in putting Arjuna to shame, but only making Arjuna aware of the mistake that he is committing. And therefore, in order to bring the intelligence to life, to bring the discrimination to the surface, there is this smile. Along with that, there was a message that was delivered to Dhritarashtra, and that is that Shri Krishna has not chosen to ignore, neglect Arjuna, but in fact, Shri Krishna has now taken up the responsibility of removing the delusion which is causing this wrong action in the present time. So, Shri Bhagavan Vach, the Blessed Lord spoke, Ashochan Anvashochasvam Tvam Anushochasi Ashochaha Tvam, that you are grieving over those who are not worthy of grief. Now, if somebody becomes an emperor or something, you never say, so sorry, you have become an emperor. You don't go to somebody's wedding, at the marriage ceremony, and then shake the hands of the groom and say, I'm sorry, you have got married to this woman. You don't do that. You go and you say, congratulations. Happy for this day in your life. Somebody has won a gold medal. You never go and say, sorry, okay, very bad. Not worthy of grief. You are expressing grief over that, in that situation or to that person, where that situation or the person is not worthy of grieving. Ashochan Anvashochastam. And then, having done something like this, you justify it, cover it up with some intellectualism. Prajna vadamshcha bhashase. And then, but let me tell you, those who are really wise, okay, those who are really wise, Panditaha, what is the distinguishing feature about the Panditas? What is their characteristic? And that is that they do not come to grieve. There is no sorrow. There is no shock in their life. Misery. Misery can be accounted because of two reasons. If you consider just the animate world, you cannot say, I'm unhappy because of this table. I'm unhappy because of this chair. Anuj. You would say is because of him, because of her. So most of the time we point out our fingers at something that is animate, conscious, living. People will say that I'm unhappy because of some person who is living or who is dead. So there is always a person to whom you can shift the blame to for your unhappiness. But he says that for no reason, Gatasun, those whose asuhu, asu means the pranas have left. Okay, so they're dead, not because of people whose pranas have left, or not even because of those people whose pranas have yet not left, which means they continue to live, interact with you. Gatasun, agatasunshcha, na anushocanti. Ke janaha na anushocanti. Ye panditaha, those who are panditas, those who are wise, they do not become miserable. Okay? Na anushocanti, they do not grieve. Now, This is the verse. Something to be understood about this verse, and that is Tatra Arjunasya Yuddhakhe Swadharme Swato Jatapi Pratruttihi Dvividhena Mohena Tad Nimittena Cha Shokena Pratibadha Iti Dvividho Mohaha Tasya Nirakaranyaha. Now, when Shri Krishna when Bhagavan Vacha, which means he has assumed the responsibility to take care of Arjuna. For one reason is that Arjuna has said that I take refuge in you. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. I am prapanna. I have surrendered myself to you. So when a person takes refuge, surrenders, then he of course wants protection from some element that can cause harm, or that is causing harm, or that is torturing the person. Then the one who takes the responsibility, in whom he has taken shelter, then obviously gives him that protection. And Shri Krishna now has seen what is it that is bringing Arjuna to this despicable condition, and that is the moha, the delusion. And so Bhagavan Vacha, taking that responsibility of removing the delusion. Okay, Tatra Arjunasya Yuddhakhe Swadharme Swato Jatapi Pravrittihi. Now Arjuna, when he had arrived on the battlefield, his coming to the battlefield was completely his own choice, and that choice he had made was in resonance with dharma. It was what Viveka Purna choice. Okay, it was a choice that Arjuna had made, which was an intelligent choice. So Arjuna comes to the battlefield, not propelled, not pushed, not instigated by anyone, on his own, and which was completely justified. But having come, now that pravritti, Arjuna's pravritti, his inclination to fulfill his duty was prevented by some obstacle, and that obstacle is Vividhena Mohena. It is a twofold delusion which has caused it. Did we complete this portion last time? Okay. Vividhena Mohena Tannimittena Shokena. And because of the delusion, there is shoka, misery also. Pratibadha. Thus, this pravritti is pratibadha, is bound. Though having come, Arjuna is not able to fulfill his duty. I'm not going to say Arjuna is not able to fight, because we are not warmongering people, bloodthirsty over here. Arjuna was not a bloodthirsty man, just who was keen to fight at the drop of his hat. Tatra pratibadha, that was his duty at this moment. Pratibadha iti dvividho mohaha tasya nirakaraniyaha. Tasya arjunasya mohaha. This moha, this delusion which is there in Arjuna and is twofold, he has to be removed. And this is what Sri Krishna takes the position, assumes the responsibility to remove the delusion. This is what is meant by Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Bhagavan Vacha means the Blessed Lord spoke. But behind that speaking, there is a bhumika, there is a platform from where Sri Krishna is thus speaking. Tatra Atmani swa prakasha paramananda rupe sarva samsara dharma samsargini sthula sukshma sharira dvaya tat karana avidyakhya ubadhitraya avivekena mithyabhutasyapi samsarasya satyatva atma dharmatvadi pratibhasarupaha eka sarva prani sadharanaha. Go wash your face and come. Don't just sit over here and speak. Tatra Atmani. Go. It's okay. Tatra Atmani Swa Prakasha Paramananda Rupe. Now, what is seen, what is experienced by a person in himself, okay, about himself, is he does not discover himself to be Swa Prakasha Paramananda Rupa, self-illuminous. Infinite joy is what is the nature of the self, of I. This is not what is seen by the person. And therefore, we want the whole world to validate us. Because what do we find is that though I am self-aware, yet that I am Swaprakash. No, I want to be approved by others, appreciated by others, known by others. Is not it? Constantly we want validation from the world. We want approval from the people. That is because one does not know that it is not the world which illumines me. I do not bathe in the limelight provided by the world. That I am wearing branded clothes. I'm known by people because this is what the company that I keep, and so on and so forth. These are my connections. This is my money. These are my achievements. So we want to be known through factors that are other than the self. Hey, the whole world is being illumined by this self. The world does not have the capacity to illumine the self. Not knowing what is the meaning of this I. Now there is this delusion that I am somebody who thrives, who lives, who survives on the attention given by the world, who lives, who survives, who exists because of the approval, validation given by the world. Not knowing this is Swaprakash that I am, then also does not know that I am Purna, infinite joy, and therefore I constantly seek fragments of happiness from here and there, begging it in the world, begging for it in the world. So the Swaprakasha Paramananda Rupe, and also another thing, Sarva Samsara Dharma Asamsargini. What is the nature of this self? Is totally bereft of all the samsara dharmas, all the characteristics of the world. What are the characteristics of the world? That this world is something which is born, which gets destroyed, which is constantly modifying, whether that modification is good or whether that modification is bad. But the whole world is constantly in a process of modification, keeps on changing. And it is consisting of the three gunas, Sattva, Raja, and Tama. What is the nature of this self? This self is the illuminator of all these three gunas. And therefore, this I cannot be defined in the terms of gunas, but I want myself to be defined in this. And I not only that I want to define myself in terms of gunas, but this is how I constantly define myself. I am intelligent, I am dull, I am disturbed, I am confused, I am good, I am bad, I am beautiful, I am ugly, so on and so forth. Look at that. So but the nature of this self is free from all the samsara dharma. Samsara dharma, asamsargi, untouched, immaculate, untouched by the samsara dharmas. That is what I am. And in the same self, which is free from all the samsara dharmas, which is who is infinite joy and who is self-illuminous. In this very self, what does one discover? That I am, because of identification with the body, mind, intellect, and also the causal body. Shariratraya, sthula sukshma, karana shariratraya. Sthula shariram means the physical body, the gross body. Based on identified with this gross body, I am a man, I am a woman. I'm young, I'm old, I'm tall, I'm short, I'm stout, I'm lean, so on and so forth. This is the definition that one will have about I when identified with the gross body. Identified with the subtle body. Now the subtle body consists of pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha. These are the three koshas. So with the indriyas, I am seeing, I am talking, I am walking. With the pranas, I am hungry, I am thirsty, I am satiated. So and I'm energized. I'm full of energy. I'm low. I'm tired. I'm fresh. These are the definitions that one will use when identified with the pranas. We're identified with the manomaya kosha. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm 1001 vikalpas. And then identified with the Vijnanamaya kosha, I am the knower, I am the experiencer. Now, as a knower, I am a better knower than you are. Begins the competition. Whether as a body, I am more beautiful than you are. I may be older than you, but I look younger than you. Competition. All these silly things are what? They are nothing but declarations of ignorance. This is Shariratvaya, Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira. Sthula Sharira means the gross body, and Sukshma Sharira means the subtle body. Now, Sthula Sukshma Sharira Dvaya, Tat Karana. What has brought these two bodies also into existence? The physical body, this gross body, as well as the subtle body into existence is the Karana, the cause of all that. The cause of these two bodies is called as the causal body, Karana Sharira. And this Karana Sharira is ignorance. This is ignorance. Tat Karana. Avidya. So now this is avidya. So identified with these three bodies, gross body, subtle body, and the causal body. Causal body is ignorance because it is the cause of these two. So ignorance gains the name as cause because it is the cause of subtle and the gross bodies, the world. So therefore, avidya upadhitraya avivekena, because one does not have the discrimination, the understanding about what is the nature of the self and what is the nature of that what is not the self. What is Atma and what is Anatma? Not seeing this, not having this discrimination because there is a lack of this vivek, and therefore avivekena mithya bhutasyapi samsarasya. What is the, and another thing about this anatma samsara is it is mithya bhuta. Mithya bhuta means it is just an appearance, like the silver in the nacre, silver in the shell. The silver appears over there on one fine evening when you go to some seashore or a river bank, and then you suddenly find that there are some silver coins strewn on the river bank. You run to pick it up, and then you find that, oh, the moment I touched it, turned into shells. Huh? It was always a shell, but in that moonlight, it looked as if these are the pieces of silver. Just like the silver, then what is the status of that silver which made you run to fetch it? That silver was only an appearance. It is seen, it is experienced. Just as that silver is, so is this. It just makes you run and run and run and run. Look at all our life running after something of the other. Someone is running after money, and someone is running after women, and somebody is running after popularity, somebody is running after power and position. Everybody seems to be running and running and running. Just as one is running for that silver in the he does not know that, but that silver makes him run. Like that, there is this samsara, mithya. And therefore, we are not saying by the word mithya, it does not mean that it is not even experienced. It is experienced, very much experienced. And not only that it is experienced, it also makes you run. So it is experienced. So okay, mithya bhutasyapi samsarasya, this is how this samsara is, this is how this world is. But because one does not know that the self is Purnam, is complete, self-illuminous, as well as Ananta Sukharupa, Paramananda Rupaha. Therefore, Ananda, the Sukham, is sought, imagined to be brought from outside, from the world, and therefore we are constantly saying that the world is responsible to make me happy. And when you see that the world does not make you happy, you are angry at the world. And now, because the world is supposed to make me happy, and because the world does not make me happy, I think I have a justification to punish the world. Therefore, angry at the world, want to punish the world. And then there are all these people giving you moral stories, how to be nice with the world. How can that be? The world is supposed to make me happy. The world is not making me happy. And I'm angry at the world. And all these moralists are constantly telling me that how to be nice to this world. How this world is supposed to get a punishment from me. And instead of giving a punishment, I should be constantly rewarding it. What are you teaching? And therefore, there are different philosophies which have come, whether it is communism or socialism or whatever, in form of political philosophy or an economic philosophy or a religious or a theology. All of these are in different ways trying to explain your relationship with the world. But in any which case, the ignorance is intact. That which is causing this is all intact. And therefore, in not having this discrimination about the nature of the self as Paramananda Rupaha, which means as Brahman. And what is the nature of this world? What is the nature of this world? Mithya Bhutaha. Okay. Now this identified with the three bodies, identified with the ignorance, identified with the subtle body, with the psychology, identified with the gross body. Now, with this world, what happens? Satyatva Atma Dharmatvadi Pratibhasa Rupaha. Now this experience that this world is real, because you do not know that it is mithya, it is only an appearance, that what is real. As in case of the silver and nacre, silver and the shell is real. Silver is an appearance on the shell. It is the reality of the shell that is borrowed by the appearance, and the appearance becomes real. If it was not going to appear as real, it wouldn't make you run. So where is that reality to the silver? Existence of that silver coming from? The existence belongs to the shell, and it appears in the silver. So Satyatva, where is the Satyatva seen? In the silver. Where is the Satyatva seen? The world of all these names and forms which are constantly changing in as Puja Gurudev would used to say, in a state of flux. In a constant state of flux. You may be meeting the same person whom you have just met in the morning, but he has changed. He has changed. Satyatva, so it looks like Satya. And Atma Dharmatva, the body, this very gross body or subtle body, or even the causal body, all of them belong to the category of Anatma. Category of Anatma. But unfortunately, how do we see this body as I? This is the meaning of I. I am this, I am a man, I am a woman. Deyam pranam apindriyanya pichalam buddhim cha shunyam vidu. Stri balanda jadopamaspamiti bhranta vishamvadinaha. Bhrantaha vishamvadinaha. I am the body. I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm punyavan, I'm papi, I'm beautiful, I'm ugly, I'm sinner, I'm holy, I'm intelligent, I'm more intelligent than you, I'm smart, well, not only smart, I'm smarter than you. So on and so forth. Satyatva, Atma Dharmatva, Pratibhasa Rupaha. This is one delusion, because we said the delusion is twofold, which has prevented Arjuna from executing his duty, performing his duty. So also this happens to us too. In any situation, that situation demands that we do certain duty, which means it is an action in resonance with dharma, with righteousness. Then that is called as duty. This is what you are supposed to do. And this responsibility comes to every person in any situation. You cannot be free from duty. Wherever you are, you have a certain duty, even if you are standing in the queue to take a bus to your office or back home. Now that means that you stand in the queue and allow the person in front of you to board the bus first. So there is something that is expected, which is a right action. There is a duty. Just because you want to get into the bus does not mean that you come in and barge in, break the queue and just barge in because you are a big hefty man. If your power, if your heftiness cannot give assurance to those who are weaker, then you are only an exploiter. Well, here, so that means that even when you are in a situation which is as simple and as insignificant as just standing in the queue to get into the bus, it means there is something that is expected, which is right, which is correct course of action. The moment you are born as somebody's son or a daughter, somebody's brother or a sister, somebody's neighbor, something of the other. There is always some form of relationship with the world that one is going to be there in. And therefore there is going to be something which is the action which is correct. And when the action is in tandem, in resonance, in harmony with dharma, then that is the duty. And by performing what you are supposed to do, by doing the duty, just by doing your duty, you already have done a great service to the world. Because when you do your duty, somebody else's right is fulfilled. So the other person does not have to demand his right. His right is already served by you doing the duty. And therefore, when the society is duty-oriented with a sense of dharma, everything sits together perfectly like a jigsaw puzzle. Then people are not against one another, but we have a symbiotic relationship with the world. Not a parasitic relationship with the world. A parasite sucks away the life from that which supports it. A symbiosis means it is a healthy give and take. There is an exchange. When I do my duties, you are benefited, and thus by you doing your duties, I am benefited. Parasparam bhavayantaha. Propitiating each other mutually. This is there. So duty is important. And when Arjuna, when we have to do our duties in life, when duties in the sense of any action, then is going to be a duty, swadharma. But what is going to prevent us from doing this swadharma is this delusion. And this delusion is twofold. One part of the delusion is was just explained over here. And he says, Madhusudana Saraswati says, this delusion is sarva prani sadharana. This one form of delusion is common to all the beings, human beings included. Even if you were going to live on Mars, even for Martians, everyone, this is common to all. Sarva prani sadhara. And because when a mistake is a common mistake, it is not even seen as a mistake. When an error is a common error, it is seen as a norm. It will be, this is what is your psychology will also define as the curve of normalcy. And this is how even we will also say, everybody says so, not only me, everybody. So even if I am making a mistake, everybody is making a mistake. And that's why, because everybody is making a mistake, now it is not a mistake. Because everybody is making a mistake, it is not a mistake. Is that true? This is how you justify as the curve of normalcy. This is sarva prani sadharana. Everybody says that I am a man, I am a woman. I am intelligent, I am beautiful, I am a holy, I am a sinner, so on and so forth. This is common. And therefore, what all things are there in the first form of delusion, that not knowing Atma is Paramananda Rupaha and Swayam Prakasha. So this is the first part. Then identifying with the Sharira Traya. This Sharira Traya, these three bodies are a part of the world. And what is the nature of this world? An appearance. Mithya Bhutaha. And in this Mithya Bhuta Samsara, the samsara is taken to be real and as the self. So these are the elements of first delusion, which is common to all. This is common to all. This is the diagnosis of Arjuna's problem. Now that Arjuna's problem, you are able to see that is not only Arjuna's problem, everybody's problem. Everybody's problem. Because at every moment we find ourselves at crossroads, in conflict with what I am doing and what I am supposed to do. Why is there this conflict? Because there is something which is preventing you from doing what you are supposed to do, though you know that this is what is correct, what is right to be done. And yet a person does not do it because there is this preventing factors, and that preventing factor is twofold. One part of that is this. What is the other one? Which is asadharanaha. So sadharana part we have seen. Sadharana means a common. This is a common delusion for all. That we have seen. Now specific one. A specific. So specific problem. Oh, Swamiji, you don't know what my problem is. Yeah, I know what your sadharana problem is. Specific problem is, Swamiji, my mother-in-law, my brother-in-law, my sister, whatever, my boss, money, and so on and so forth. Specific. But yes, sadharana problem is no. What is that asadharan? what is the specific, which means which is not common but specific, is, let us see. Aparastu yuddhakhye swadharme himsadi bahulyena adharmatva pratibhasa rupaha arjunasyeva karunadi dosha nibandhano asadharana. The other problem which is just specific to Arjuna is the conflict. And what is the nature of this conflict over here is aparastu, the other one, which means apara means the other form of delusion. Delusion is twofold forms. So the other form, aparastu yuddhakhye swadharme. Now, for a person like Arjuna, the swadharma over here is not just, just taking care of the family and, making your children do their homework and just watching over them if they have come on time or not, and if they have had food or not, they are keeping the right company or not. That is not the only thing, swadharma. Or doing nitya naimittika karma, sandhya vandanadi, etc. is not the thing which is meant over here. Then what? For Arjuna, the swadharma means fighting the battle. Okay? Fighting the battle. Is this swadharma. But then this battle, fighting a battle means there is violence. There is violence. And therefore, what will happen? It is just not some little violence. It is a ghor himsa. Means it is how is that swadharma? Himsadi bahulyena. It is just full of himsa. Bahulyena. Bahulata means it is saturated with violence. It is saturated with violence. But mind you one thing, remember, it is still swadharma. Okay? Now, defending certain principles, I'm not saying defending ego or defending selfishness or defending some sort of imperialist or expansionist policies of the state, but defending principles like justice, etc., respect towards women, and protection of the weaker section of society, etc. These are the principles. Okay. Now these principles have come from where? They have come from ahimsa, satyam, asteyam, etc. From there. But these are the 10 or whatever are these main principles of dharma. Now pay attention to this. We have a few more minutes to look at this. Now what has happened is that the swadharma for Arjuna is fighting the battle, and that battle means it is full of violence. Okay? And therefore, himsadi bahulyena, and therefore that which is dharma now appears to Arjuna as adharma. This very dharma looks like adharma to Arjuna. Okay. Looks like adharma to Arjuna. Himsadi bahulyena adharmatva pratibhasupaha Arjunasyaiva. And then karunadi dosh nibandhano, and now he is feeling compassion towards those very people who are offenders. Compassion is good, but compassion for whom? Compassion for people who have suffered injustice, etc. Correct? But if you have compassion for an offender, that means you are giving him a license to keep on offending even more. So it is misplaced. Compassion by itself is a great virtue in life, is a noble virtue. But when that compassion sits in a wrong place, it loses its nobility. You see, it loses its nobility. Because compassion for an offender, how is it going to help anyone? So Arjuna's second, the problem which is specific to Arjuna now is defined by this karuna, etc., where Arjuna feels dharma is adharma, himsadi bahulyena, and therefore this delusion of seeing dharma as adharma is specific to Arjuna. So also it will become specific to us. And whenever whenever there is this delusion, twofold delusion, a double taker, it will prevent a person from following what is the right course of life. Therefore, this delusion is twofold, which is there in Arjuna. Okay. And so now, Shri Krishna Bhagavan has to simply lift both these delusions from Arjuna's buddhi, intellect, remove it from his mind. Okay. Evam upa, and how will it be removed? What is the scheme to remove the twofold delusion? The one which is common and one which is specific. How that will be removed? So here he gives Shri Krishna's scheme to work on Arjuna. Here it is. Evam upadhitraya vivekena shuddhatma swarupa bodhaha prathamasya nivartakaha sarvasadharanaha. Now, upadhitraya vivekena, it is through the discrimination between these three upadhis. Upadhis are conditionings. We will see the meaning of this word a little later, maybe in the here only in a little while. Let's see. Upadhitraya vivekena. The first form of delusion will be resolved through what? Through upadhitraya vivekena. Through the discrimination between the three conditionings. What are the three? What do you mean by conditioning? Like when you have a crystal ball is transparent, ashuddha, clean, clear, transparent. And when it is kept on a red color cloth or any other colored cloth. Now, for example, we will use red color cloth. That very crystal ball from a distance will appear red. Is the redness a quality of the cloth, or is the redness the quality of the crystal? It is an attribute of the cloth. But where is the redness seen, experienced now? It is seen there, in the crystal, where it is not. Okay. So in understanding that in a clear understanding that the redness belongs to the cloth and not to the crystal, will make you free from the delusion that there is a red crystal. It is a red ball. Okay. So the red cloth in our present example is a condition because of which the crystal appears red. If the red cloth was not going to be there, the crystal will not appear red. The crystal appears to be red because of a condition. And because of that condition, what has happened? That it has as if given the attribute of color to the crystal without really influencing the nature of the crystal. उसके स्वरूप में नहीं घुसा है वो लाल रंग. Without influencing the nature, it is not an intrinsic nature of crystal to be red. The crystal appears to be red because of a condition. Like that, I am a man, I am a woman. Because of what? Because of the body. Now you talk about yourself without reference to the body and prove you are a man or a woman. All these definitions that you give to yourself are due to the three conditionings. And these are all our complexes, psychological complexes, whether it is superiority, inferiority, some Oedipus or whosoever, whatever, Electra, all the complexes are just nothing but situated, seated, centered only on this not having the Upadhi Traya Viveka. I am holy and therefore superior than you. That is complex. Well, I'm just a poor person coming from a third world and therefore I am just, inferior to all of you. It is inferiority complex. Every form of complex is seated only on this. And therefore what has happened is Upadhitraya Vivekena, by having the Viveka, discrimination. Remember, the word Viveka also comes from the verbal root Vichir Prithakkarane. What is the verbal root? Vichir Prithakkarane, to segregate, to separate. The Indian women will know that in the earlier days how they used to willowing basket. They used to have willow, they call it willow. Winnow. The rice grains are separated from small little pebbles, etc. Remove. Superstar. Bamboo. Anyway, so separation, prithakkarane. So in knowing what is Atma and knowing what is Anatma, but knowing this is Anatma, the three bodies are three upadhis, three conditionings and nothing more. And all these conditionings identified with which there are all the problems seated over here. These conditionings belong to the world. They are a part of the world. And what is the nature of the world? Mithya Bhuta. Thus, this discrimination is what will give what? Shuddhatma Swarupa Bodha. It gives rise to the knowledge of what is the knowledge of what is the pure nature of the self. What is the pure nature of the self? This is what is the meaning of I. Not a confused meaning of I, confused with body, mind, and senses, etc. But meaning of I will be by through this understanding of what is the nature of the I. Prathamasya nivartakaha. This understanding, this bodha, this knowledge is the remover of the first form of deluge. And therefore it is a common solution to all, because the problem is common to all. Okay, now let us see something more about this in our next class. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sudrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. Thank you, friends. Thank you all.